Now, I'd like to announce this November 17, I have a debate. I think it's in Taguig. Birmingham will provide the address with 7 Adventists. The subject is is Sabbath every day or only Saturday? Okay? That's our topic. I wish to share or to help me be refreshed, because when I broadcasted in the radio, there are lots of evidences to show what is the right way of keeping the Sabbath. Even I debated with 7 Adventists. I wonder if Brother Omar remembers it. Now, so it is every day. I'd like to put this as subject. Do we keep the Sabbath by keeping the 7th day of the calendar? There are lots of points I'd like to list down. So I hope every one of you could take note and witness also to many brethren. So we can witness to Seventh Adventists, we can witness to Messianics, Seventh-day believers, many others. Okay, let's begin. Armstrong splinter groups. Okay, first, let's list down how Exodus 20. How do you fulfill that? That's one. Number 2, the type and shadow. What is the purpose of the Sabbath? There's a purpose, right? Purpose. And lastly, secondly, calendar. This is just for contradictory purposes. Calendar. Lastly, is the part we exhort. We give the message. Why is there a message about the Sabbath? If you're not going to fulfill the physical side of it, why was there a Sabbath in the first place? Okay? Keeping it. So this is more like a message of encouragement and a hidden revelation. Okay, let's begin. First, let's go to Exodus chapter 20. Open up your Bibles right now. Take note. The first 3 commandments. What is the first commandment? What is the second commandment? What is the third commandment? Check it out. So we could go very fast. We must participate. We must all open up the scriptures. Okay? Now, I'd like you also to browse the 4th and 5th commandment. Take note, I'm putting it, I distinguished it here. Why? Brother Magellan, is the camera clear? My camera clear on these numbers? Not clear.
Not clear.
I have to come here. I have a cheap camera. Is it much clearer now?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did I segregate the 4th and 5th? Now, list down also, mark 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th,
10 commandments.
10. What is different with the 4th and 5th? What can you notice? If you've been listening to my old audio radio broadcast, if you can still remember our radio broadcast before, Brother Omar. What is the difference between the 4th and 5th commandment to the rest of the commandments?
4th and 5th commandment is not compulsory commandment.
Okay, thank you for your answer. Anyone else? Okay, this is what I said in the radio. The fourth and fifth commandment is an
Ended.
ended commandment. Shortcut. Open-ended means you are not limited how you will fulfill that. Now, what about the others? What kind of commandment is 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? What have you noticed? Underline this. Thou shalt not. That is a simple commandment. Do not do this. Defensive rod. Right? Do not do this. Sourcing conflict. And what is fourth and fifth? Thou shalt. What is the difference? The first one is the sin of commission. You commit a sin if you do that. The second one is a sin of omission. You must know the difference. I think some Seventh-day Adventists know that. Sin of omission, sin of commission. What is omission? You fail to do that. Okay? That's the difference between our teaching in hukum training. Offensive rod and defensive rod. Defensive rod, do not do this, do not do that. That's the typical omission. What is the... These are sin, sin.
Committed.
Sin of commission, sin of omission. But if you're going to follow the commandment, you must commit this. You must commit, you must do it. You must not do it. Let's say do it. Commission, do it. You must not
Committing mistakes.
Not do it. Do not commit. Yes, do not commit. You have to commit. So the sin is do not commit. Commission of what was forbidden. The sin here is mission is you did not do your duty. You omitted your duty. You failed to do your duty. You failed to do your duty. Okay. So the first three regards to God. There's only one true God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Another topic related to this, a very, very long one, is the physical, psychological, and the spiritual application. That's a good subject for debate. Now, thou shalt have no other gods. Thou shalt not make graven images. Thou shalt not bow down to them. What about the fourth? But the Omar, the fourth. Famous commandment. What's the fourth? Keep the Sabbath. Wait. So
remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Okay. That's the eight. Number 8. The fifth. Anyway, this has a different listing. Let me continue. The fifth one is honor thy father and thy mother. Is there a limit how you will honor your father and mother? No limit.
Honor thy father
And
and thy
mother.
mother.
Okay.
Ephesians 6.
6, 7, 8, 9. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not covet thy neighbors, etc. The fourth and fifth is a commandment of commission. We're commanded to do it. Is there a limit how you're going to do it? No. There's no limit. How do you honor your father and mother? There was a time, let me cite some examples. I think it's Matthew 18 or 23. Jesus Christ confronted the Jews, the Pharisees. They have an extra revelatory teaching if the child gave some benefit to the parents, the child is free from his responsibility to honor the parents anymore. Example, the child gave a big amount of money to the parents.
That's wrong.
But Christ mentioned that. Why did Christ mention that? Because the Pharisees have been quantifying honor. You know quantifying? Oh, he gave a certain amount of money or he gave some certain benefit to his parents. So he is
You are buying your
duty. Your privilege, not privilege, your duty.
duty.
So there is no limit on how you can honor your parents. It doesn't mean you provided some benefit to your parents, you can disrespect them already.
No.
So that is what Christ was rebuking them. It goes to show the fifth commandment is open-ended. Now, let's go to the Sabbath. The Sabbath is open-ended. It is not limited to what? Let me give you an example. Leviticus 23. How are they going to keep the Sabbath then? What was the commandment there? What was the commandment in Leviticus 23? What should they be doing?
Work for 6 days. And the seventh.
That's Exodus 20. In Leviticus 23, it said, you remain in your house, you do not come out. It is a rest, a Sabbath in all your dwellings. There's no church then. There's no chapel. There's no synagogue. What do you do on the Sabbath day? You stay at home.
The tent.
Yes. Oh, I'm showing you how they kept the Sabbath was evolving in how they were keeping the Sabbath. It's not just one track mind or just one way of fulfilling it. The Sabbath keepers you know today as a denomination, they keep it as a Pharisee type of keeping it. How? Synagogue. On the Sabbath, we go to the synagogue. Was that the original commandment? Was that the original commandment?
Yes.
No! There was no synagogue when it was given. That is one point. That's what we're going to debate. There is no fixed form of fulfilling it.
No synagogue because
The synagogue is not because of the wilderness. The synagogue came to be because of the captivity. Amen? Because they lost the temple. So they made similar to our church, a carbon copy of the temple. A duplicate of the temple. Amen, Brother Mark?
A meeting place.
Meeting place, yes. So, originally, the commandment was not a synagogue. Now, the question is it a sin to use the Sabbath to go to the synagogue as a meeting place to share the Word of God?
No.
Is it a sin or not?
No.
No. But is it a direct commandment from God?
No.
No.
So you see God's progressive revelation. Christ was not against the Pharisees. He even participated in going to the synagogue on the Sabbath day. What was the verse? Luke chapter 4 verse 16. As he had done since childhood. That's training. So Christ was not against them, how they practiced the Sabbath, how they kept the Sabbath. The Sabbath, what we're talking about, is the 7th day of the week of their calendar. Take note, that's another issue. Of their calendar. So there is one way of staying at home. There's another way of going outside to the synagogue. Originally in the Moses day, you must stay at home. But Christ even went a step further, Matthew chapter 12. If on the Sabbath, your sheep fell into a ditch, can you save it? Yes, you can save it.
Because you are man is
So,
the Sabbath.
Now, Christ is modifying the perception of the Sabbath. You know why? You can heal the sick, not necessarily supernatural. You can be a doctor, healing the sick. It's an emergency. I said that on the radio. It's an emergency. Why do the Seventh Adventists have hospitals? Oh, because we're doing a good thing, like Christ. Then it is flexible. They're also working. They also, right? So, Christ modified. Why? What was the reason of Christ? What was the purpose of the Sabbath? It is for the benefit of man.
Yes.
It is not a
For the-
slave master of man.
For
For the benefit of the flesh. Let's say it will be more difficult for man to leave the dying calf or lamb for the next day to save him. He can save him outright. Healing the sick. Oh, it's the Sabbath. I must not heal you. Let's say you're a doctor, not necessarily a supernatural healer. I must not say heal you because I am sinning. The purpose of the Sabbath is not a slave, a slaver, a slave master. The purpose of the Sabbath is to give rest. If it gives you more rest to finish that for that day, then do it. Because Christ is the Lord of the Sabbath. What is the purpose of His coming? To give us rest. That is the real Sabbath.
Sabbath.
The feast, the weekday Sabbath has a type. Later, we're going to talk about type.
Weekly Sabbath, ano man.
So, Christ was modifying. You know, I posed a question to Brother Thompson. Jerry Sevilla, were you in Arcelias when he had this debate? I posed this question. Remember Mary? He put spices on Christ, but she rested on the seventh day. You know that verse? Somewhere in Matthew. Open it up. Look for it. Matthew 27, I think. She rested on the seventh day before 28. Now, I asked Brother Jerry Sevilla, were you there in Arcelias? You were not there. I'm just narrating a past debate with the SDA. I asked him, Brother Jerry Sevilla, did Mary, look for the part that she rested on the seventh day, before verse chapter 28. 52, I think 52. Okay. Before, when Mary rested on the seventh day, did she sin because she did not go to church?
No.
She did not go to church. She did not go to the synagogue. She stayed at home. So, Brother Magellan, even the time of Mary, the time of Christ, they can
Yes.
stay at home.
Yes.
They had the option, go to the synagogue or stay at home, right? I asked her, 52, right?
No, 52 is yung resurrection from the grave.
Oh, 51. She rested. Look for the verse, she rested. According to the commandment. According to the commandment. So, I asked Jenny Sevilla, did she sin? Is the time running? Is the time running? Okay. Did she sin by not going to church? You know what the answer of Brother Jerry was? I want to put this on video. Jenny Sevilla, this is your answer before.
No, chapter 28, verse 1. Ito, at the end of the Sabbath, as it began to
No,
dawn.
that's the resurrection. 27 is that she rested. She rested on, according to the commandment. That's the wording, okay? Now, let me continue. Jerry Sevilla's answer. So I hope you're watching this, Brother Jerry Sevilla. It is not everyone that goes to church are sinners. That's the answer. And I repeated my question, and the moderator said, you already answered the question. You do not have to repeat your question. So I'm just pointing out they could not answer.
But there's no restriction.
Why can't they answer? Because they're so rigid, as though worshiping on the Sabbath should be going to church only.
No rested in the Matthew, but Luke 23:56. And they returned and prepared spices and ointment,
On Luke 23.
and rested the Sabbath day according to the commandment.
So the verse is Luke chapter 23, verse 56. Sorry for my mismemory. Okay. So, we now see, keeping the Sabbath is not limited to one form. Now let's go to the Sabbath itself in Exodus chapter 20. 6 days. 6 days. thou shalt
labor.
labor. And on the 7th, thou shalt rest. Because for in 6 days God created the world, and the 7th day He rested. Now, did God mention a calendar?
No?
Follow the Roman Gregorian calendar, follow our calendar, the Jewish. When you set yourself to work in 6 days, it's not following a particular calendar. You just work for 6 days, leave 1 day for rest.
Yes, 1 day is for the Lord.
Amen. That means to say,
Any day.
any day. Because at that time, you just work for 6 days.
Amen.
Please adopt this verse. Please adopt our friend. Ask them to sit beside you. And ask them to be silent. Because they're recording there's no microphone. Their voices to be heard. Please adopt them to just listen and repeat questions. Okay, let's continue. So, in following Exodus chapter 20, there is no fixed calendar of the week, day of the week. Let's say the 7th Adventist shows the calendar we have today. That is your own prerogative. You get the point? That's your own prerogative. Let's open up Romans chapter 14.
Romans.
Please read from verse 1. That's why Paul said this. Why will Paul say this? Because calendars do not say in different cultures exactly. Okay?
14
Romans chapter 14. Start from verse 1. Hey, since you're near there, could you be the reader? Do you have a cell phone? Bible? That's Brother Simon, could you open up and read closer? I need someone near the camera to read. Hey, can I request? Please decode the noise. Just whisper at the back. Because that will the camera will record the ambient noise at the back. Unless you make the camera move forward. Okay, please read Romans 14:1. Oh, you can read there, just read aloud. Face the camera.
Verse 5.
Okay, verse 5. So we can go straight to the point.
Romans chapter
Louder,
14
louder.
verse 5. 1 man estimate 1 day.
Okay.
Above another estimate every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind.
6 now.
Verse 6. He that regardeth the day, regardeth it unto the Lord. And he that regardeth not the day to the Lord, he doth not regard it. He that eateth, eateth to the Lord, for he giveth God thanks. And he that eateth not to the Lord, he eateth not and giveth God thanks.
In the time of Paul, when he converted the Gentiles, there was an issue. Should you follow this? Should you follow that? Paul does not set a set of rules that they should only follow. Because there are things that are flexible, that are your own prerogative. Even the food, but that's not on the subject. Of course, the others to raise their eyebrows. But for the day, esteeming a day, he is not strict on the physical day of the week.
The people is working according to their
Belief. Yes. So, isn't it they converted Gentiles, the pagans? Let's read Romans chapter 2, verse 14. 2:14, 14:2. 2:14.
Low in their hearts.
Yes. Just read for the record. Maybe you can quote it right now. He's having a law to themselves. 2:14. Those at the back, whisper question or RJ. Whisper, not aloud. Okay. Face the camera.
Romans 2 verse 14. For we, the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law. These, giving not the law, are a law unto themselves.
Even though they did not physically fulfill the physical commandment of the Sabbath, the Gentiles are justified by God. Because they got the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law. What is the spirit of the law regarding the Sabbath? It is justice, mercy, and truth. It gives you rest. It is for the benefit of man. Let's go back to Exodus chapter 20. 6 days thou shalt work, and the seventh day shall rest. For in 6 days God made heaven and earth, and the 6th day he rested. Another point which goes to the tithe. How did God rest for 24 hours?
No.
When Exodus cited Genesis, let's go to Genesis. Let's go to Genesis. In Genesis, did the seventh day have an evening and morning? No. It goes to the tithe now. The first 6 days, does it have evening and mornings? Yes. Yes. How about the seventh day? Rest. Yes. Oh, check it out. Check it out. Genesis chapter 2. You do not find 1. Yes. Chapter 1 does not mention the seventh day. Like the seals. The seventh seal is not mentioned in chapter 6. It's in a different chapter. The seventh day is not mentioned in chapter 1. In chapter 1, look at the first 6 days. Look it up. You know you want to receive anointing. Look for the words evening and morning for the first day. Evening and morning for the second day. Look it up. Because you're going to share it to others. You have to look it up. Get anointing from the word. So, Brother Nato, look it up. Brother George, look it up. Brother Omar, look it up.
Genesis chapter 2.
Mark chapter 1, evening and morning. Evening and morning.
Okay.
Then, after you have marked it out, let's go to chapter 2.
Okay. From verse 1.
You don't have to read. I said just mark it out. So we will be fast.
I have to read it. Mark.
So I encourage all of you, be a scriptural warrior. Mark it out. Show it to others. This is not, you should not consider the word like playing. You should have some gravity. Now, let's go to chapter 2. Does the seventh day have evenings and mornings? Brother Omar? Do you find evenings and mornings on the seventh day? Yes or no?
No.
Brother Omar? It's not written. What does that show? This is the revelation.
Open ended.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, it's open-ended. That when God rested on the seventh day, the works were finished. The works were finished. Like Calvary, it is finished. Creation is finished. It's the eternal age.
No more war.
It's the millennium. It's salvation. What does it represent? What does the seventh day represent? You found Christ.
Find rest.
Is it just for 24 hours?
You find rest.
You found Christ for 24 hours? You become Berean for 24 hours? You repented from your ignorance for 24 hours? Or for the rest of your life?
7 days.
That's how you keep the seventh day as what God purposed it to be. This is God Himself. As an example, God rested on the seventh day. God's example is different from the Jewish example that they have to go back to work on the next day. Did God go back to work on the next day? No. The 8th day, the 9th day, the 10th day is just part of the 7th day.
So the 7th day is not the literal calendar day.
Amen. The 7th day has a deep, very deep revelation hidden in it.
Another day. 8th day.
Another day in Hebrews chapter 4 represents the spiritual compared to the physical. Why should Joshua or Jesus have spoken of another day? The another day is not necessarily 7th day of the week of your calendar. That day is the day of when you hear His voice, do not harden not your hearts. That is the real Sabbath. Hebrews chapter 4, I forgot to put it here. Hebrews chapter 4. 1 Corinthians 6:2. Hold, just hold it. 1 Corinthians 6:2, verse 2, about the temple of God. Everyone, I hope you can follow. This is a good message. I hope you could appreciate this. Okay? I hope you could adopt them to open it up.
2 Corinthians chapter 2.
Help him read the Bible. Sister Rita, share the Bible with Brother RJ. Would you help, Simon, would you help Sister Rita teach her how to adopt it with Brother RJ? Like sit close together so they can read the scripture together. You could put the scripture in the seat. You move your seat, Sister Linda, close to the table of RJ.
Okay. 6:2.
What does it say?
2 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 2.
Face the record.
For he said, I have heard thee in a time accepted, and in the day of salvation. Give Isaac succor thee. Behold, now is the accepted time.
Acceptable time.
Accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation.
So, that is the Sabbath. So, we see from the physical, literal, to the spiritual, they're all the same, Brother Omar. What are they the same? What aspect are they the same? They're not limited to a particular calendar. You're so rigid, you're so I would say it's a man-made doctrine already, a man-made commandment to be rigid on the calendar day of the week. As though God commanded the calendar day of the week. What did Christ say? You made the commandment of the word of God of none effect. Made teaching for doctrines. It's not doctrine. The commandments of men. When you say commandments of men, it's an agreement that we have to come together on the synagogue on the Sabbath. That's an agreement of men. That's a commandment of men. You say this is commanded by God. It's conditional. It could be commanded by God because you're agreeing. It could be a commandment of God because it is agreed upon. But it's not a direct commandment of God. You keep the calendar day of the week as though it's a universal commandment. I hope you get the picture.
So the Sabbath today is not
The
seventh day
calendar
of the week, but every day.
If you understand the real Sabbath, the ultimate Sabbath, that's what we were saying in the radio. You know, we already have a broadcast of this in the radio. It's not just video, it's audio. And you can click in advertisement. Google Drive, click the, Brother Freddy, you go to Kogyo End Time series. You click the first pin post there, Google Drive. You will be shown, there's no title yet, in office work. You will be shown many dates of the cassette recordings that were converted to MP3. So I hope you can listen to the Sabbath series. How many have gone there? Do you have titles there? Have you seen the titles there? Have you gone there? Not yet. Please check it out. I forgot if they already placed titles there. They should have placed titles there.
TV series.
There's also office work needed to segregate the noisy ones or maybe. Okay, let's go back. Brother Jordan before has the copy of those tapes. You already thought I already pushed it down. Okay, so I forgot to follow up. I hope you can follow up. Are they still recording, Sister Ann? Are they still recording the cassette tape every day? No more. Please follow up. Maybe one day the rare cassette player that we were able to buy will be not functioning anymore.
Purposes.
Okay.
Maybe you buy the Boya mic. The Boya mic, even the noise is coming, it's not That's recorded from the...
Just deacon behind, just deacon there at the back. Do not be noisy because it will be recorded. Okay? Okay, let's go back to what we were saying. What was the last part that you said? Oh, the seventh day of God, not of man, is open-ended, is eternal. You have moved from the temporal. This is level 3 teaching. From the temporal to the eternal. Why? Because when God entered the seventh day, He never went back to on the next day, the first day of the again. For our week, for our calendar week, for the rest of our lives, that's the Sabbath. And that Sabbath is not the calendar day of the week only, per se. Our Sabbath is the day you hear His voice. Let's open up. Hebrews chapter 4. The day you hear His voice, that's the Sabbath. The day you accepted Him, that's the Sabbath. The day you were born again, the day you will be resurrected, the day of the rapture, the day the kingdom of this world will become the kingdom of our Lord, the day He created the new heaven and the earth. Any point of the day, as long as it's a point of no return, that is the Sabbath. Some better things for us, you know that word in Hebrews? God provided some better things for us, that's the Sabbath. I hope you can see that. Okay, Hebrews 4, let's open up. Browse, everyone, browse from verse 1. I wish to go very quick, so you have to browse it by yourself. I'm going to cite certain points of the scriptures so you can see what I'm pointing out. If God had given them rest, that's verse 4. Is that verse 4? Should He have spoken of another day? Please click on there at the back so that it will not be noisy, okay? Because usually when people come, they chit-chat unnecessarily. Speak English, only related to the topic. Oh, there's Simon and Joanna going at it again. I already told you, please deacon help out in it. You should talk about this. When someone is speaking, when you go to an auditorium, you should not be noisy, okay? Please adapt those who are talking. Please do not talk very loud. Okay. Please, deacon. Sister Nene, please help out deacon. Whisper. They're talking in their own level of voice. Can anyone go there at the back? Your own voices could be recorded. Please keep silent or whisper if it's related. Please, deacon, Brother Fernand, Brother Celso. Please, deacon the people. Police the people. Help them pay attention, okay? They're talking about other things. I'm being interrupted. My focus is being interrupted because of I need your help, okay? Please. Okay, let's continue. Hebrews chapter 4, open up. Start from verse 1 to verse 4. What does it say? Hebrews chapter 4, verse 1 to 4. Everyone, this is the only time you hear about this. Please be grave, be serious, open up, open up. Do not talk of other things. Do not discuss other things. Only related to this, and in English. You can ask about this, ask each other, help each other. Please help us to deacon, Brother Nito. Please supervise the deaconiers. Okay. Please do not allow them to talk. Okay? In a normal voice, in a normal volume. Only whispering and only related. What does Hebrews 1 to 4 say?
1 to 4.
What does it talk about?
Hebrews 1.
Hebrews 4, 1 to 4. If they shall enter my rest. So, Paul was saying the Israelites were not able to enter into his rest. Is that the Sabbath?
Yes.
Did you know that the Seventh Adventists use this chapter for the Sabbath also? But this kind of Sabbath is different. How do you enter that rest? What is God talking about?
Spiritual.
No, not spiritual. I'm talking about Israelites. The Israelites were not able to enter because of lack of faith, because of unbelief. That's verse 1. What was the rest that they were not able to enter in? Anyone? Just read 1:4. Fine. Could you open up the Bible and even ask your child so that he can or adopt someone? Unowned. Please adopt. Adopt someone who is orphan. No parent, no mother. Okay. What was the rest that the Israelites were not able to enter? That was mentioned in verse 1. They were not able to enter because of lack of faith or unbelief. What was that rest? Is it the seventh day of the week?
No.
They were not entered. Paul said it. What was that? Anyone?
Spiritual
Read
rest.
verse 2, verse 3, verse 4.
Rest
We know
for their
it's
soul.
spiritual. Spiritual
Rest.
we read in verse 7 up to verse 9. But let's talk about the literal. What was the literal rest that they were not able to enter? So give you a clue. But I don't want to give you a clue. I want you to read it from the scriptures. Analyze it from the scriptures. Adopt your child. Adopt the child right now. How do you adopt them? Show them the scripture. Ask them how it's going to be applied. Kanaan?
They were not entered into the Canaan.
Yeah, you just need. No, I haven't heard. Try to, Brother Lito, adopt someone else. Oh, maybe I should enter due to time constraint. Brother Lito said Canaan. Do you understand anything about that? Israel was not able to enter.
Promised land.
Before I give the answer, let me give a tip how to adopt. You tell the child, I hope this sticks because this is training, this is progressive ministry. You make this a standard, okay, of excellency. You show the child the verse, you whisper the question to them, make them analyze so they will think also. So we're not just thinking of ourselves because you know the answer. We will make them participate also. So they will enjoy the same excitement with the scripture. Okay. The right answer, Canaan. The promised land. They were not able to enter the promised land because of unbelief. All of them died out except Joshua and Caleb, what of faith. That the other 10 spies said, we cannot beat them. Well, they died in the desert. Those who said, we can do it, even though it's hard. We can overcome. O mountain, you shall become a plain. We can overcome. So, Joshua and Caleb entered the promised land. That was the rest. So, Sabbath is not just day in the week. Sabbath will also represent the promise. I'm talking of literal side yet, right now.
Fulfillment.
Yes. Sabbath, the promised land, the land overflowing with milk and honey is also the Sabbath. So you now see in Hebrews chapter 4, it's not just the physical day of the week. If you look at the feasts, there are many Sabbaths within the feast. There's the weekly Sabbath, but there's the 7th month, there's the 7th year. If you don't understand 7 weeks, there's the 7th decade. How about the 7,000th year? 7,000th year. Is that the Sabbath? It is. That's the millennium. So you see the Sabbath, it is just a template. Not focusing on a singular day of the week. It has a wide expanse of application. If you're going to get the benefit, the real benefit of the Sabbath, the seventh Adventist could be a stepping stone. But the ultimate benefit is what it was meant for. It was not meant for a rigid, man-made ritual or daily routine or weekly routine. It was made for man. It was made for a revelation, for a blessing. The blessing is not limited to the day of the week. Because you rested on the day of the week. The blessing is a spiritual blessing. That's why it's just one day of the week. It's every day of your life. And not just that. It represents the Holy Spirit. It represents the promised land. It represents your real rest with the Lord, your fellowship with the Lord. It's not limited. Again, when do we gather? Only one day of the week? As much as we can, we gather.
Every day.
If you can. Depends on the prerogative. We gather here. Sometimes I'm not included. Most of the time I'm not included. 3 times a week before I was always present. But if we can manifest our full potential, every day there is gathering in the houses, and there are invitations with each other. The children are sharing the word with each other. That's also the Sabbath. Hebrews chapter 4, let's go to verse 7. What is that day? Is that Saturday? Today. What is that day? Romans 14. What is that day? You can ask children. I try to ask children so they will think. That's your opportunity. I hope you can train that. Brother RJ, Sister Linda, Brother Davis, teach her how to ask him. There will be interaction. You can do that with Javis also. But you don't have your children with you. That's how you should be doing it. So you can practice, brothers.
Hebrews 4.
What day is Hebrews 4:7?
Today.
What day of the week?
Not
Use your common sense.
Not
What
the
day of the week? Brother Omar.
not 7 day.
What day of the week is today?
The present day.
What is that certain day? What is that today? What day of the week will that fall? I want you to use your common sense so you could answer. Now you can see the revelation of the Sabbath. What day of the week? You try to ask RJ also. Have a discussion. It's permissible to discuss, whisper, related to the subject. I won't be ashamed if someone says it's noisy. At least they're discussing the subject. I will be ashamed if they're discussing other things. So we make a distinction, okay? For your growth, you can discuss related to the subject. Discuss with your seatmates. Oh, Brother Omar, what day of the week? The certain day. Today, when you hear his voice. What day of the week?
First day of the week.
The day that you come to the Lord.
What day of the week will that fall, Brother Omar? What day of the week will that fall? When you hear his voice, what day of the week will that fall?
7th day.
Yes, the 7th day is symbolical. But, literally, the calendar day of the week. I'm asking for the calendar day of the week. What calendar day of the week can you hear his voice?
Sunday.
When you hear his voice.
Sunday. First day.
First day.
First day.
First day. How about you, Brother Omar?
7th.
Only on Saturday we can hear the voice.
Every day.
The day that you
Brother
come
Omar,
to the Lord. That
Brother
you
Omar
get
is
the
right.
revelation.
That is symbolical, 7th day. I'm asking for the calendar day of the week. What calendar of the week is that certain day when you hear his voice?
Sunday.
It's specific.
Saturday. The right answer.
Brother Omar,
First day of the week.
Sabbath keeper.
I'm talking of the day of the week, huh? Any day of the week you
Yes.
can hear.
Yun nga.
We're pointing out the first time you hear the gospel.
Every day.
Of course, you don't say every day because it's the first time when you hear his voice, harden not your hearts. The day you become bereaved, the day you repented from ignorance, the day you heard the words that convicted your hearts, Brother Omar, am I correct? You can hear it any day of the week. I'm talking of the calendar day of the week. Any day.
The day the herd.
I challenge Seventh Adventist, Messianic, and many others.
Ephesians
unspoken
1:13.
followers. Is it any day or should it be limited to your day that you go to gather together in the church? It's not even Sunday. It's not even the first day. It's any day.
Ephesians 1:13, right?
Now you see the real Sabbath is not focused on the specific calendar day of the week. I wonder if I will have this much time in presenting this in Taguig. But I hope you will be there. If that will fall on the Sunday Sabbath, we should be left here to continue the Bible study. So, question? Now. Wait, yes. Yes, now. Now. What is that now? You do not wait for that day before I hear. No, right now. If God convicts you, right now, repent.
Day of salvation.
That today is the day of your salvation. Today is the great day of your salvation. It is not limited to the calendar day of the week.
Salvation.
Oh, it is a sin because it does not fall in our day of gathering in the synagogue. That's all man-made. You know, when Brother Omar tried to answer Saturday or Seventh day,
Yes, because he
it is an influence
Sabbath.
of the physical calendar day. But we have to open up our minds. We should be honest. Biblically, it's any day that you hear His voice. Verse 9, this week. Could anyone read? If God, Jesus,
Verse 9
had given them rest, continue.
Verse 4.
Would, please, anyone? If Jesus had given them rest, that's King James. Other versions, if Joshua had given them rest, continue. Continue. Anyone? Please open up. Read aloud. You want blessings from God? Do not be relaxed. Okay, brother. Please read aloud and turn your face.
For Jesus had given them rest. Then was he not afterward had
Spoken
spoken
of
of
another
another.
day. What rest? Joshua. Did Joshua give them rest? Oh, some of them entered the promised land, the children of the Israelites. But was that the ultimate rest? That's also the Sabbath. But that's the Sabbath of the land. But if Joshua has given that rest, why would he have spoken of another day? Because that was the Sabbath that they had before was not the ultimate Sabbath.
The question.
Question? Online.
Where, Tagalog kasi,
Translate.
where did the scripture written that the Sabbath were not kept?
Were not kept.
Oh.
What I was sharing was the Sabbath was kept. How it was kept. That question is a trick question. Saying, oh, you teach that you do not have to keep the Sabbath. I never said do not keep the Sabbath. I said, how should you keep the Sabbath? Rightfully keep the Sabbath. So I have not yet said, do not keep the Sabbath. Even though I have not mentioned, the closer you can ask is, how not keeping the Sabbath according to man's commandment. There is a man's commandment of keeping the Sabbath, and there is God's commandment of keeping the Sabbath. So that should be the question. There is no, I'm not exposing right now the man-made way of keeping the Sabbath. I'm showing what is God's way of keeping the Sabbath. Okay? Because the man-made way has become what? Full of rituals, full of protocols, full of. But Sabbath represents an open-ended blessing. Represents a progressive. Did you know that even your family training, that is a Sabbath? If you realize that? If you keep the progressive commandments of God, your family will find blessing and rest. Example, the chain of command was was made more perfect, you will not be tired of house chores. Okay? You will develop even their bodies. Okay. So Hebrews chapter 4. The real Sabbath is the day you hear His voice. How about the day of the week? Use God's Sabbath compared to man's Sabbath. Because God's Sabbath, He never went back to work. Man's Sabbath, after you rest on the seventh day, the next calendar week, you go back to work. Man is not a perfect type of the real Sabbath. The real Sabbath is given as a type by God Himself. God Himself. They fail to notice that the seventh day has no evenings, has no mornings. What was the purpose? We mentioned that already. It also shows us timeline, the millennium, the seventh church age, the eternal age, eternity, eternal age. Okay? You can have illustration there, show the camera. Okay. So maybe use this illustration. This could be the church age. This could be 6,000 years of humankind. This could be 70 weeks also. Okay? Okay, let's go to the calendar. What I've been always been mentioning. What calendar are we following today? Gregorian, Julian, from the Catholics, right? Of course, they would easily accuse that's Babylonian or what? Or pagan. We have this Thor Day, Thor's Day. We have Freya Day, Freya, Friday. How about Saturday? Saturn Day. How about the first day of the week? Sunday. Tuesday, I don't know the name. That could be like Wednesday. How about the month? We have August. Augustus Caesar. July, Julius Caesar. What else? February, January, Janus. These are names. Is it sinful to use those months? Did you know that in the Hebrew calendar there is the Tammuz month? So it's not sinful. Okay?
May question si Russia Vista Dayanan.
Okay.
Tagalog. Englishin mo.
Okay, please translate.
Translate mo na lang tapos.
We should have broadcast it progressive. Anyway.
Bakit sa fourth day lang ginawa ang araw? Anong araw binatayan sa first day, second day, and the third day?
Could you translate?
Why fourth day was made a day? Then, what day should be pattern of the first day and the second day and the third day?
Oh, sorry. Brother Rasha Vista Dayanan. The number you see here are the 10 Commandments, not the 7th day of the week.
Where did you get the pattern?
This is 10. So this is not 7th day of the week. This is not first day, second day, third day. This is first commandment, second commandment, third commandment. So the fourth, fifth is the fourth and fifth commandment about the Sabbath and honoring the parents. So this is not the day of the week, fourth day, fifth day. This is distinguished because this is a commandment of commission. The other commandments are a commandment of omission. Let's reverse that. The other commandments, thou shalt not do this. The fourth and fifth, you shall do this. You must do this. So if you omit that, it's a sin of omission. And how do you fulfill the sin of commission? How do you fulfill the commandment of commission? It is open-ended. The Sabbath is open-ended. Honoring the father and mother is open-ended. Okay? So this is not the day of the week, This is 10. This is not the 7th. I've already on this. You could use the illustration down here as 7. Okay? Maybe you have to ask, why is the 7th day very long? Eternal. So the answer is God setting Himself as an example for the 7th day. There is no end of the 7th day. That's the part they missed. Okay. let's talk about the calendar. Did you know that those who are astute in keeping that literal day of the week, they're looking upon the calendar day of the day they're living in. Is that a commandment of God? Follow the calendar that you're living in. No. So many of those, they're not even Jews, they're Gentiles. They're trying to follow how the Jews look at it. Take note, the Jews missed the Messiah. So they missed some parts of the law. They missed the purpose of the law. They missed Christ. So some of us Gentiles are trying to follow the Jews in keeping the calendar day of the week. And they're so astute, this is the right calendar. Did you know that certain different sects have their own calendar? Not just for the day of the week. Also in keeping the Passover and the unleavened bread, etc., etc., etc. They're fighting over it. That's Enoch's calendar. There's Enoch calendar, whatever. Now, let me say something. Even if God commanded, when God gave the commandment, there's that calendar. Will that be the same? No, it's not the same. So, we go back to the commandment. Did God command you to follow the type of calendar we have today? No. So just follow exactly what Exodus 20 says. 6 days thou shalt work, just like that. On the 7th day, rest. So whatever day fell, you're still following the commandment. That's the fourth part they missed. Okay,
Question. In the first day, second day, and the third day, what does God referring to day and night when sun is not available this time?
Okay, Rasha Vista. Okay, let me repeat the part I said here. The first day to the 6th day, it is bounded by 24-hour day of evenings and mornings. The evening and morning were the first day. The evening and morning were the second day. Okay, every one of you at the back, for you to get the benefit, I hope you take this seriously. For you to get the benefit, open up your Bibles in Genesis chapter 1. At least experience looking up the scriptures. Okay? Be excited on it. Okay? Don't need many deacons to whisper around, overseer. Okay. The evening and morning, first day, evening morning, second day, evening morning, third day, evening and morning, fourth day, evening and morning, fifth day, evening and morning, sixth day. How about the 7th day? Brother Omar, is there evening and mornings for the 7th day? No! That's how you, if there is, it's not bounded, that's why I drew it here. The 7th day represents a point of no return. If I can add a typology from communion, when the water was turned to wine, yes, it's changing of a new day. When the grape juice turned to wine, the grape is temporal, the wine is eternal. My blood represents, the blood of Christ represents the red wine. Eternity. I hope you see what Sabbath is being represented here. So the calendar of the day of the week is just, I hope you can see it, it's just a type of what eternity represents. And you're so worshipping the physical family commandment, how it should be kept. You know, there are Reformed SDAs today that you must not cook, you must not buy. So there's the mainstream SDA, there's the Reformed, and there are many other splinters. And they have their more rigid commandments how they should fulfill it. Because you can read it in the Bible, the time of Moses. Okay? I wonder if it went to the point someone has to pick up a rock and stone someone who is failing to fulfill some of the details of the physical agreement. Those are just types and shadows. Go to the reality. Go to the fulfillment. Colossians 2:17. The body is Christ. These are the, open it up, Colossians 2:17. You know, Seventh-day Adventists will answer this verse. Because the Protestant have been using this verse. That even the Sabbath are a shadow. Okay? Please read aloud. Colossians 2:17, 16. Start from 16. Deacon. But Dennis, repeat, whisper. Repeat, whisper. Or if you can read. Require reading. Sige, basa. Require reading. So there's some discussion. Okay. Please read Colossians 2:16. Brother O.
Let no man thereof judge you in meat
Or in drink.
or in respect of the
His voice is much lower.
Or
Please stand
of the
behind.
new moon or the Sabbath of the Sabbath day, which
They
are
are
a
a
shadow
shadow.
of things to come,
But the body is
of Christ.
Okay, if it was not clear enough there, let no man judge you in meat and drink and feast days and Sabbath, which are a shadow. Now, let's say the 7 days when they say, the Sabbath day of the week that is not included there. Let me ask you, you do not believe that the Sabbath day of the week in Exodus 20 has no time? And why would Exodus say, God rested on the 7th day? You go back to God, there should be not 24-hour day. It is a time. Is there no time in Genesis chapter 1? Is the 7 days in Genesis? No typology. The Sabbath day of the week is included. Please do not be noisy. Please decode, whisper. It's being recorded. I hope please decode, okay? Okay, let's continue. So how should we keep the Sabbath? How should we keep the Sabbath? When Paul went to the Gentiles, he preached the gospel. He gave them commandments how to grow. How do you keep the Sabbath? By obeying the commandments. What kind of commandments? Progressive commandments. In Hebrews, there's a new commandment. You can read that. So when the Seventh-day Adventists or others are pointing out the word commandments in Revelation, those who keep the commandments. How do you keep the commandments? How would the Jews supposedly expected by God to keep the commandments? Walk in further light. That's the message of the prophet. Walk in progressive revelation. Help out in the progressive ministry. That's how you keep the Sabbath. Because the Sabbath is not just a day of the week anymore, or how you stop working physically, but how you are helping out in the ministry, how you can have the rest for your soul, how your family could have a rest as bound together in the Word of God. Acts chapter 2, day of Pentecost, that's also Sabbath. How they fellowship together. The kind of camp meeting you have, even if you attend to others, how you witness to others, that's how you keep the Sabbath. It's no longer physical work, earning money. It's work in the Spirit. You rest in sinning. What kind of rest? Not rest from physical work, rest from sin. I'm not just talking about sins of the flesh, but sins of the Spirit, ignorance, Nicolaitanism, lukewarmness. That's how you keep the Sabbath. You rest from being ignorant. You rest from sin. Not just physical sin, not mainly physical sin, spiritual sin. When you become Berean, of course you're not yet mature, but you should grow. You should not remain stagnant. When you grow, you have entered into His rest. If you're not growing, maybe
You are outside.
you're stuck, you have 24 hours. Your time is expired. You should be growing. Your time should be progressing. That's how you keep the Sabbath. We have, in work and in studies, we want to advance our careers. We want our children to advance their careers. But our mindset is only on the flesh, on earth. But if your mind is set up above, that's the Sabbath. How your mind wants to advance the careers of your children, the academics of your children. The same thing, if your mindset is on God, how you could advance your family, your children to God. That's the Sabbath. You have entered the rest. Because they will never find rest if it's only the struggles in this world. The real rest comes from God. Having eternal life, glorified bodies. Those are those ones. How would you achieve them? How would you be part of the rapture? You have certain things that God wills in your life right now, right here, in this church, in this ministry. So, I hope you see, Sabbath is not something independent. It's tied in to the message. Okay, any more questions? So that's how you keep it. Okay? If I miss something, I hope you could please go back to my other broadcast about the Sabbath. Maybe I missed some certain things. Maybe you'll remember. If you have a question, please come here to the camera. Please come here to the camera.
Question again.
Just stand there. You just stand there so you will not wait for you to walk. Let him ask, but you stand there so it will be fast. Okay.
In John 5:18, he breaking the Sabbath or Jesus break the Sabbath, is this true?
Again, as I said before, Jesus was the fulfillment of the Sabbath. Breaking the Sabbath is according to the man-made Sabbath. I said before.
According to the tradition.
The traditions made by men is not the real Sabbath that was being revealed by God. The Sabbath that's being revealed by God gives rest to men.
Yes.
But the kind of Sabbath that the Pharisees, the Sadducees were doing, even today's denominations were doing, they're not giving rest.
Amen.
They're giving burdens, additional
Yes.
burdens. Even this Nicolaitan spirit is an additional burden. So, that's the answer of did Christ break the Sabbath? He broke the man-made perception of the Sabbath. Okay, brother? Question. Please be quick because there are many others who will also testify. Stand there. Stand there in the camera.
It is Sabbath
Come
and
here.
Para marinig mo.
Sabbath and forbidden foods. So
I have a video on 43 minutes, so I want to watch it.
I just want to
Ask.
you please figure out
An answer
what are
for
those
the
what are those forbidden foods for you. You have also forbidden foods, right?
Have you watched the video?
Yeah, I do. You said blood, eating blood, and I think eating blood, you forbid eating blood.
Yes. And some pastor there said it can be eaten because the food offered to idols are not forbidden anymore.
So, what are those food in the Old Testament that was cleansed during the Christianity period? So, is that only the blood? Before, in the Old Testament, it was forbidden also. Don't eat blood.
Swine.
The same. But you did not forbid people or your church to not to eat swine.
Okay. Before I answer that, I'd like to point out, this will be another subject. I wish to tackle this, but maybe not today. But maybe you can come back. What I say ritual for purity, in Hebrew is kosher, right? Kosher does not only relate to food. Kosher means anything acceptable. So it's related to hukum. Because in training, what is acceptable in your home, in the family, in our church? Is it acceptable for them to be ignorant and let them be left alone? Kosher. So it's a deep word. Ritual purity. What is ritual purity? Ritual purity includes foods. There's the washing of the hands, how you should dress, how not to touch the dead, etc. There are many detailed commandments on that. Let's go to the foods. Protestants say the food are cleansed. They went into the trap. Obviously. You know why? It's the same as the Sabbath. Like any serenity. Oh, you no longer have to keep the physical day of the Sabbath. The real answer is, for the Gentiles, they have not been given that commandment in the first place. I never mentioned that. So, but I mentioned a little. They've never been given that commandment in the first place. When Paul went to them, Paul never gave them that same commandment. That's why Paul was ostracized by his Judeo-Christian peers, his Messianic companions. Why? Because Paul was not teaching them circumcision and the Sabbath and ritual foods. Because the real answer here is, they've never been given that commandment. There's nothing to cleanse. The cleansing is walking in further light to understand why. Why did God give that commandment? Answering why gives you the cleansing. Like this. The Protestants quote a verse in the Bible. The food is cleansed as you pray for it. It's not the answer for the unclean foods of the Jews. As though it was unclean before it was made clean. No, it's not like that. They've been eating the same food until they were converted. They've been eating the same food in the time of Paul. So when the Seventh-day Adventist answer to the Protestant reasoning is correct. When the food that they prayed for that was cleansed, it's not forbidden foods to them. It's whatever food they've been taking before, when they pray for it, it's being cleansed, it's being blessed. The Seventh-day Adventist answer to the Protestant reasoning, pray for the food and it will be cleansed. It's not forbidden foods to the Jews. Jews. The Gentiles should not be concerned, oh, we are unclean, are going clean. No. From the first place, that was not the basis of God. It was a type. Unclean foods were a type. Ritual purity is a type. You know ritual purity? Whatever you're going to do. Washing of hands and many others. Baptism. That's what ritual. The physical baptism. So, the food is included in the ritual purity. So, if God gave a commandment not to eat certain foods, why? You go to the question and answer why. That will be the answer of the real cleansing. So, going back to the verse, pray for it and it will be clean. The Seventh-day Adventist answer to the question, what they've been praying for is what they've been eating before, not new foods. They're correct. The Seventh-day Adventist answer to that reasoning is correct.
Then why God?
Come here. Your voice is very.
Why God forbid His people to eat swine?
The Israelites. The Israelites. Okay.
Then it is not.
Have you watched the video already?
I do.
What did I say?
I just want to
Yes. It could be recorded here. Could you share what you've heard?
I just want you to
repeat. Let me repeat what I said in the video before. Just shortcut. The reason God gave a commandment of forbidden foods to certain chosen people is to set a time. What is spiritual eating? It's no longer the swine.
the Jews eat swine before.
What is the spiritual food today? What is the food in due season? So there's a spiritual swine. You get the picture? God is more concerned with that. Nicolaitan spirit. Okay? God is more concerned with that, and God used the literal foods to represent spiritual food. The reason God forbade certain foods is to show that spiritually we should not be eating certain foods. Okay.
Before, God don't want to hybrid these people to the Gentiles before.
Yes.
So God isolated them
Yes.
in the certain period until now. But when Jesus already come, the reason why Pharisees accuse him because of that. So, how about the Gentiles? Why did God never forbid those things?
But
But
the Gentiles.
oh yeah,
Because, let me answer.
but you forbid the Gentiles.
I forbid?
You forbid eating blood.
Unforbidden food.
Okay, I'll answer the blood. So, first, the Gentiles were never forbidden. Why? So, the Gentiles should get the type. Why? Okay? Now, let's go to the blood. The reason I thought we should avoid blood, because that commandment was given in the New Testament. It is a little ritual purity. Let me give an example. Here in the New Testament, we also have ritual purity, but it is not so exact as the Jews. It's a little similar to the Jews. Example, Passover. We have some similarity with the Jews, but it's not exact because we do not roast a lamb. Literally, it's not required. The Jews are not required to have red wine. Look at the Exodus 12, the commandment for the Passover, no red wine. There's a little modification. So, if we follow the New Testament instruction, avoid the blood, it is a little ritual purity. A little. Similar to baptism. Like Dunka was teaching. You know what Dunka's teaching is? Baptism is ritual purity of the Jews. So we are no longer required to baptize. Because that's the Old Testament. That's partly true. Partly true. But why do we still have a little similarity? Because of the type. Now, let me give the other side of the question. What if we have eaten blood? If we have eaten blood, do we lose our salvation?
Do we?
We just strive not to eat blood. But if we accidentally eat blood, or it cannot be avoided, God will not condemn us.
Verse
It's like food offered to idols. We avoid it. But sometimes we could not avoid it. God will not condemn us.
But you forbid if you
If you can avoid it,
how about
if you can avoid it,
how about you
Brother God
know?
told me,
Brother Francis,
sometimes you cannot avoid
how about
it.
you know? It's the same on the Seventh-day Adventist. Eating swine.
The Seventh-day Adventist incorporates more, like the Armstrong. You know, there are certain sects that are worse than Seventh-day Adventists. They incorporate more physical, literal fulfillment of the law than the real Christians. And Paul, it's time. So, let us give some levels. There are the Christians of Paul. There are the Christians of Judeo-Christian, similar the Messianics. Seventh-day Adventist first. Then there's the Armstrong level. The Armstrong level is much more deeper than the Seventh-day Adventist level. Seventh-day Adventist level is concerned with the food and the Seventh-day Sabbath. But they're basically Christian in other aspects. How about Armstrong? Armstrong is also Christian, but they include the feasts. Let's go much worse than Armstrong. The Messianics.
How about it?
The second name is different. The Messianics does not just include the feast, but includes many other aspects of the law, the physical aspects of the law. So, what you can see from the first point to the other point, there is a gradual increase in focusing on the physical ritual purity.
Meaning to say, if you purposely eat blood, you lose your salvation.
If you treat the Word of God
you commit
lightly,
you commit
we
omission.
must always treat the Word of God with gravity. Example, Brother God told me, if you eat KFC, you also eat blood because sometimes there's blood there. He's right, he's right.
No.
If you're ritual purity, you will be avoiding it. But we're not after physical ritual purity. We just strive to avoid, not directly, like directly just cook blood, eat dinuguan.
About that.
No, I'm saying that is purposely doing
Purposely
it.
doing it,
But
eating it.
Brother Gam's example is not purposely, deliberately doing
No.
it. You accidentally eat it because there's some blood in the bowl.
Bar Francis,
Yes,
you said if you accidentally eat that, you
Let
did
me
not
give you
commit mistake.
Let me give you a simplistic answer.
That's the same on the premise of the Seventh-day Adventist. If you did not purposely eat swine, you are forbidden. You are forgiven by
The
God.
difference. I'll give you the
Almost
difference.
the same.
I'll give you the difference. Swine was not commanded. Swine was not commanded in the New Testament. Swine and many others physical or dependent foods was not commanded in the New Testament to the Gentiles. Permanent, listen. Acts 15. Teach them, listen, just listen. Teach them to avoid fornication and blood. So, there was a question to the apostles. Should we teach them to avoid this, to avoid that, avoid it? So, the final consensus they gave was just avoid these two. Fornication
And
blood, and he didn't even mention food offered to idols. Now let's talk about food offered to idols. That also answers your question. The food offered to idols, should we avoid it?
Yes.
Yes. But sometimes, accidentally, we could not avoid, right? The same thing with the blood. Now, again,
do not.
Paul said, you can avoid, but sometimes you cannot. Let's go to the blood. When the apostles mentioned the blood, the apostles never mentioned the rest of the forbidden foods. The apostles did not mention. That's the difference. Brother Francis, why do you avoid blood? Because the New Testament says so. We follow the New Testament. We are progressive, we are Gentiles. Well, let's continue with regards to other forbidden foods. Acts chapter 10. Listen. When God said, these unclean animals were cleansed, what was he referring to? Who were those unclean animals?
Gentiles.
The Gentiles who were eating those unclean animals. Unclean, including blood, in the eyes of Peter. What did God say to Peter? Do not call unclean what I have made clean. It's not the literal food anymore. It is the people eating those foods.
Kasi 1 Corinthians 7, about
The
idol.
Yes,
Idol.
Did you come near the camera?
The Bible is in Acts chapter 10, maybe Acts chapter 10, the book of Acts. When the vision saw to Peter emphasized that there are 4 pig food. That the vision, all animals that have 4 feet. So, if you pertaining of consideration that man, how can you consider that 2 feet, 2 foot, and 4 foot for considering in the animals figure?
It is figurative when God said, I have made this clean. He's talking about Gentiles who are eating those foods.
But
So,
if you're talking Gentile, the Gentile is, according to the vision of Peter, there's only 2 feet. But this
Did you know the
4 feet
animals-
is pertaining the 4 feet.
animals are also being represented to man in
So,
the
meaning,
sacrifices.
it is not pertaining to the man. It is pertaining to the 4 feet of animal.
You need to go to the hidden revelation. Peter said, nothing have entered into my mouth.
No, you're talking about,
He was talking about those eating the food.
yeah,
But
eating.
God was not referring to the food. You know why? In Acts chapter 10, God will command Peter to go to Cornelius, a Gentile. He will receive salvation. So, the fulfillment of the vision is Cornelius receiving salvation. The people who were eating those food, that settles it.
No, we are referring about the visions of Peter that
The answer is the same in that same chapter, salvation coming to the Gentiles.
yes, but this vision, there is a type in shadow for a type in shadow. It is the same also into the man, because man, if you consider that the 2 feet
Yes,
and the
there's
4 feet,
type,
there is a difference.
There's type.
So how can you differ if you type in 4 and 2?
The animals were
How can you
the animals. Do you remember the fifth day and the sixth day? God created the animals. The same time God created man.
Yes.
The creation of man involves also the creation of the animals.
The last minute.
Something parallel to the evolutionist. The animals were used by God as a type for man. Example, some people are beasts, brute beasts. Some people are docile as a lamb. Lion of the tribe of Judah, the flying eagle, the calf, the ox, and many others, the horse. So animals were made as a type and shadow. Okay, let's conclude please. Barmenan,
I have a verse.
please come.
I think you
Just fall in line,
What can you say?
Miss this
Barlito,
verse.
just speak quick.
What can
Sit
you?
beside there so you do not take.
We're talking about what is eating or unclean.
Spiritually, yes. In the
Spiritually.
typology,
So,
the Bible.
what about this in chapter 14 of what Paul said in the book of Romans? In 14, in him that is weak in faith, he received ye. But
Brother
not
Bernard,
that
could you hear Barlito's verse? Romans 14.
Romans.
About food.
This is also food.
Romans 14.
So-
Check for Romans 14 first. He's reading it.
For
following
one
up.
believeth that he may eat all things.
All things.
All things. So this, and another who is weak eateth herbs. So it is between
Vegetarian.
the meat and the herbs. Now, in verse 3, let not him that eateth despise him that eateth not, and let not him which eateth not judge him that eateth, for God had received him. 4. Who art thou that judgest another man's servant, to his own master that he standeth or falleth? Yea, he shall beholden and up, for God is able to make him stand. So verse 13 and 14, let us not therefore judge one another anymore, but judge his rather, that no man's put a stumbling block or an occasion to fall in his brother's way. Last verse 14. I know that I am persuaded by the Lord Jesus that there is nothing unclean of itself, but to him that esteemeth anything to be unclean, to him it is clean.
Okay, thank you. That was what I was saying. Brother, here.
Acts 15:29.
Oh, everyone open up. Everyone open up. Acts 15:29.
That ye abstain from meats offered to idols,
Amen.
and from blood,
Amen.
and these things, and from things strangled, and from fornication. How about the food that was strangled?
Okay.
How about what would you say on that?
It is still dinuguan.
How about the
Pinikpik.
pinikpikan?
How about the balot?
Okay. Anyway, listen.
So also you forbid foods, blood, and those food that the blood throws. Strangled
So
food.
strangled and blood itself
Yeah.
are the same. We should avoid them. Okay? We should avoid. Now, sometimes you did not perfectly avoid.
So you lose your salvation.
No. God looks at your heart. Okay?
How about you purposely?
The purpose, let's say you're stranded on an island, that's only the available food. Okay?
No, that's not the
Right? Purposely is like everything is available.
You cook.
You just put your own liberty to do that because of the verse of what Paul said. Paul said, "Oh, this could be made clean because of prayer or what." It's like this. In Paul's case, it was accidental. Paul's case, it was accidental. Okay, it was situational.
For survival.
Like for survival. So like Father God said about the sin of Adam, it was unavoidable. So, but if we can avoid it, avoid it. Okay? We know we have young people that have already fornicated. But do we condemn them? No. We try to lure them to the way of God, so that they could be made clean. Can God make clean? Did Adam and Eve commit fornication? They did. But were they made clean? Yes. So, you can see the grace of God there. Okay, blood, strangled, food offered to idols. God wants your heart. If you have your heart right with God, you do not purposely, deliberately.
But you're vegan, but you cook purposely blood and strangled food.
Let's say, the interpretation you heard from another source, you just grew up there in a world wherein that's the only explanation. Oh, we can do that because Paul said pray for it. Or Romans 14 again. If that is the only thing you heard in your life, God can still understand you. Because you're Berean. You never had any chance of meeting us permanently here. Okay? What I'm saying is not worldwide a requirement. God requires a Berean heart, repentance heart. That is to say, whatever level you are in the whole world, not the part that we are known to each other. God will understand you, whatever level of truth you know. It's the same as what Paul was explaining. That's the same as what Paul was explaining. Did you know that Paul was also in that, he was not part of the council, but he heard the decision of the council. Paul did not go against the decision of the council. He just gave a judge, counselor, a way out for those who might commit wrong with regards to that ruling. He is showing the grace of God.
Brother Francis, what about believers? Can eat anything? Is it sin for him? Can eat anything?
Unbeliever
Because
can
he
eat.
has a revelation what Jesus Christ taught in Mark chapter 7 and verse 15 here. There is nothing from without, this is Jesus Christ. It's talking about Jesus Christ.
Defileth a man, but
There is nothing from without a man that entering into him can defile him.
that's the thing that comes out.
But the things which come out of him, those are they that defile the man.
So let me answer that. That is the verse, one of the verses, what I'm pointing out, God is after the heart. The physical unclean foods to the Israelites is a type and shadow to the unclean spiritual foods of the believers. Gentile bride, Gentile nations including Israelites. The spiritual food that they should be forbidden to is represented, typified, typologized by the literal unclean foods against the Israelites. Okay? Why did God give the law to the Israelites? Romans 2, to show an oracle of the future. Example, on this part, the blood, the strangled, okay? Of food offered to idols, maybe not fornication. He will exclude fornication. Oh, Paul said you can pray for this. Okay, so be it. That's just ritual impurity. That's just a body. It's just, we have a type for that baptism. Why do you still baptize? It has a type. Why do you still eat? There's some teaching. Oh, we no longer should do Passover, communion, unleavened bread because it is just the Jews who do that. But why do we do it? The same reason. The question is, are you unsaved because you did not do it? The right answer being very like this. Can you do it but you just purposely do not want to do it? Do you have the capability to check in the scriptures? You should do it but you just do not want to do it because you have, Barbanam talked about this. There are some people who teach that we should not fulfill physical, literal communion, but only spiritual. It only is spiritualized. So Barbanam met those people. There might be some people today. Oh, we must. So if those people have no opportunity to prove, to check that it should also be physically fulfilled, God knows their heart. Did they purposely ignore the word because they had the opportunity, or they never had the opportunity? They live in a place where their understanding was only spiritual. You see? Can they be saved? Can Jehovah's Witness be saved? Maybe a few. How about foolish virgins? Maybe more. Many could be left behind. But let's talk about those who have the opportunity to know. Is it a sin? It is a sin. Because you're not rejecting because it is supposed to be a man-made idea. It is a revelation from the Bible. Why you should fulfill literally. Literally, baptism in water. Physical unleavened bread. Physical red wine. The same thing. If we can, we should strive to fulfill. The same thing. Should we avoid food offered to idols? Should we avoid strangle? Should we avoid blood? Should we avoid fornication? What is God's heart? The same. All four of them. We should strive. Can God still save us if we fail? Yes. But God knows our heart. Do we strive? Do we ask forgiveness? So that's the answer. Okay? As simple as that. Again, I said, why did I mention blood? Because it was mentioned there in the New Testament, and it's for a type. It's the little ritual, physical ritual, ritual purity that we still have. That for a type.
It's only a comparison. Why God commanded not to eat the blood, then Jesus Christ commanded us to drink His blood.
See that type? That's not a literal blood. Okay? So your question why Christ commanded to drink literal blood. Answer. Good question. If you have the tracts, of Catholic Transubstantiation, maybe give to Pastor Brother now. Okay. When Christ said, "Drink my blood," it represented killing Him, receiving His death, that we caused His death. Tearing up the flesh or the unleavened bread. I'm going to focus on the blood for now. And Christ was using the red wine as a type. When He talked about His blood, drinking His blood, He was talking about the red wine. And when He talked about the red wine, He was talking about transformation from grape juice into an eternal wine. We say eternal, it does not rot, it does not corrupt. The longer it gets, the better it tastes. So, that's the reason why Christ used the word blood. But drinking of the blood, if you're reading the Haggadah and many other old Jewish writings, drinking of the blood is symbolical of healing. Like in Revelation, the woman drank of the blood of the saints. When we drink the blood of Christ, we do not literally drink the blood, or we have the wine transmutating, transubstantiating into literal blood. No! We are accepting that we are the one who killed Christ. Isaiah 54. We esteem Him. We were the ones that killed Him. God killed Him for us. We just have to accept it. If we refuse to accept it, you don't have any part of me. So that's why Christ said, "Drink my blood." Now, why did the Jews leave Him? The Jews left Him because they thought they were to drink it literally like the Catholics. Of course, for the Catholics, you cannot literally drink the literal blood. So you have to transform the wine, you have to transform the bread. Okay? There's another message for that. So I hope that gave you the answer. Thank you for the question. Any more? Okay, we're going to move to testimonies. A few minutes we have. Okay, announcements. And we have to announce because this coming Friday, so we need a camp meeting for... So, I'd like to say, attend morning inauguration there, bring the young people to Cavite, then broadcast on Saturday maybe just elders, because the young people should be continuously, then you come back. Okay? Okay, so I hope the young people will have a continuous set up. No, only the elders should broadcast because the young people are being set up. Unless the other young people are not there. So they should be the one being broadcasting. Bring where? Okay, please. Okay, please announce.
Ang topic ng sa broadcast. Ay, pwede na punta na. May comment na ako sa